and basically lives in a hospital. And while he's awesome. Well, that's fun. Reading in the dark, you guys, legitimately. All right, well then, hello, and welcome back to Reading in the Dark. Byron here. So, this is now the third time I have attempted to film this video, or the 2.5 time. I don't know how to turn that into a... Anyway, so I filmed this video once, and I had just gotten up, and I was on my way to work, and I was sort of like tired and low energy, so then when I went back to edit it later, I thought, no. So I wanted to film it again, so I tried filming it again this afternoon, and there was a large thunderstorm that rolled in, and the power went out, and it was lovely, and I was like 2/3 of the way done. But I don't have any of the audio from that recording, so I can't use that footage. So we're gonna do it again, because, woo, TBRs for everyone. This is going to be my TBR for Contemporary-A-Thon Round 5. I have actually taken part in this readathon before. I took part in rounds 3 and 4. 3 was kind of a dismal disaster. We're not going to talk about it. And then I took part in round 4 last year, which was much better in September. I guess it was September. Maybe, I don't remember when it was. Anyway, I took part in it, and it was great. You may hear some dog noises in the background, and just don't be alarmed. The friends, they're becoming friends. There's lots of dogs in my house now. 3 dogs. And they are playing and having a grand old time. So, with any luck, there won't be any hurricanes or power outages in the next 15 minutes, and we'll be able to actually get through this. So this round of Contemporary-A-Thon runs from the 23rd through the 29th and is hosted by the following lovely hosts: Chelsea at Chelsea Darling Reads, Julie from Pages and Pens, Mel from Mel to the Any, and Natasha from My Reading is Odd. So as usual, there are 7 challenges for this round of Contemporary-A-Thon, and I have books to cover almost all of them. I'm not going to be reading 7 books, probably, because that's just not something I've been able to do in the past. I actually read 7 books once for Spookathon, but 3 of them were those little scary stories to tell in the dark books, so that was kind of cheating because they're very short. So the challenges are to read a 2019 release, to read a contemporary with yellow on the cover, to read a diverse contemporary, to read a contemporary with an illustrated cover, to read a dark or hard-hitting contemporary. I have read this so many times. To read a contemporary with plants on the cover, and finally to read a contemporary that is beloved by another member of the book community. So I have one outstanding or remaining 2019 release book that I am actually saving for Spookathon. The other 2019 release book that I own right now, I'm actually about to start reading tonight because I just kind of can't wait. It's The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. Actually a fantasy book anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I don't actually have any 2019 releases available for the Contemporary-A-Thon, and my rule with this readathon, and hopefully all of the readathons that I take part in for the most part this year, I don't know, it's September, is basically that I'm going to try whenever possible to only pull books from my current TBR pile, which is rather large. And I'm just going to try and actually read everything I own before I go off and buy more books. So the first book that I have chosen satisfies challenge number 2, to read a book with yellow on the cover, and challenge number 6, to read a book with a plant on the cover, and that is Digging In by Loretta Nyan, or Nyhan, I'm not sure how to say her name. It's a rather short book, it's only 248 pages. This tells the story of a woman whose husband of many, many years has passed away, and she's going through depression, and she sees that her front yard and her lawn is just in terrible disrepair, and she just is frustrated, and she kind of digs it up and puts in a vegetable garden, and the vegetable garden grows, and it basically ends up to where her entire front yard is one big vegetable garden, and the neighbors hate it, and the HOA doesn't like it, and but she's like finding herself, and I have actually seen quite a few really positive reviews of this from some friends of mine on Goodreads, so Digging In. The next book that I've selected is a nonfiction or a memoir called Daring to Drive by Manal Al-Sharif. Now this is going to be satisfying the challenge to read a diverse contemporary. This is basically the memoir of a young woman from Saudi Arabia who decided that she wanted to learn how to drive, but in her culture, women were not expected to drive. It was sort of prohibited. And she decided to do it anyway and became something of an activist in the process and wrote this memoir. And I've had this in my TBR for, I think, at least a year, and I've been meaning to read it. So I'm finally going to do it, and that will be my diverse contemporary. By the way, I think the definition of diverse contemporary is interesting. So when I first started BookTube, I started seeing these challenges, and it said, read a diverse contemporary. And I thought, that's sort of a weird way of putting it. But what that basically means is to read a book written by someone who is very, very different from yourself in terms of race or religion or something, and is writing about an experience that is very sort of different from your own life and your own experiences. So what a diverse book is will be different for every person. The other book that, the next book that I'm going to read for this challenge also is a diverse contemporary for me, but it is also a book with an illustrated cover. And it's also dark and hard-hitting, and that is Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. This book was like all over the place for the last couple of years. I know it's an award-winning book. People really, really love this book. It's got a gorgeous cover. And this basically tells the story of, I keep saying basically, but I think it actually tells the story of Jojo, who is a 13-year-old boy. This is all set in Mississippi. And he's 13, and he's sort of trying to figure out how to become a man, and he has some very sort of questionable male role models in his life. He has a black mother named Leonie, and he has a white father. And his father is in prison, but he's getting out of prison. So as the book opens, they are driving to pick up his father from prison. His uncle, his mother's brother, is dead, I think, by suicide, and that has led to her depression and her drug use. So she suffers with a lot of drug addiction and is not always there for him as a mother. So I don't know a lot more about the book aside from those basic details, except to say that there are definitely ghosts in this story. There's a ghost of another boy waiting for him when he goes to the prison. So I'm excited about that because it gives me the impression that this book is not only going to be hard-hitting and emotional, but it's also going to have maybe even kind of a spooky vibe. So I'm excited about that. I wanted to read this for a long time. I actually have this in hardcover and on my Kindle. So I hate it when I have both versions of a book, so I'm going to have to choose which one to read. I like reading on my Kindle, but I don't know, the book has a really nice cover and like the paper feels good, and I sort of might read both. We'll see. So that's the third book of my 5 that I definitely want to read. The next book I'm reading is a dark or hard-hitting contemporary as well, and that is The 5 Stages of Andrew Brawley by Sean David Hutchinson. I first heard about this book on Tome Riddle's channel. She really liked it. And I don't know if I would say it's beloved by her, so I could maybe make this challenge number 7. I'll definitely link her below, so I guess I am. But yeah, I don't want to put words in her mouth. I remember she really liked it. I don't know if this is like her favorite book, but it looks really interesting to me. This tells the story of a young and I'm getting nervous now because it was during this part of the video last time that the thunder rolled and the lights went out. So this tells the story of a teenage boy who we now have no choice but to imagine looks just like this guy on the cover. Basically, he loses his family in a car accident, and he basically lives in the hospital for a while. And while he's there, he meets another young man who's going through some stuff. And it's a coming-of-age, trauma-based. It's going to be very emotional and intense, and I know that portions of this book are actually told in the form of a graphic novel that he's writing and illustrating about his own life. And that is why I decided I wanted to own this on paperback instead of in ebook form. And so I did actually purchase the paper copy. So I'll be reading the physical book of this as well. And that's The 5 Stages of Andrew Brawley. I'm super excited about that one. So I have other books that I've selected, and I may or may not get to them. I'll get to them if there's time, and there probably won't be. The first of these is another book that has an illustrated cover and it also has yellow, and that is Mrs. Fletcher by Tom Perrotta. I heard about this on Writers on Writing, the podcast that I listen to, with the author speaking about it. And this basically tells the story of a woman who's kind of in an empty nest moment of her life. Her son has gone off to college, and her husband has either passed away or they're divorced. I think they're divorced, And she receives a text from one of her son's friends, like a prank text, calling her a MILF. And she doesn't know what MILF means, so she has to look it up, and this sort of begins a sexual reawakening of sorts for her. One of my friends on Goodreads hated this book, so I have tepid expectations, and that is why it's not like high on my list of things to read, but it does satisfy some of these challenges, maybe. The next book I might read is a thriller called Trespassing by Brandy Reads. Now, this obviously is here because it has a plant on the cover. When I first read these challenges and I read a book with a plant on the cover, I immediately thought of this book, and I'm not sure why, because there's lots of books that I have that have plants on them, but most of them are thrillers, and most of those plants are trees. Like creepy, scary trees with no leaves. There's like every thriller, it seems, has to have a tree at least on the cover. Most of them have many trees. This is not a tree. It's like Bird of Paradise or something. But anyway, this is the story of a woman whose husband left for a business trip and does not return. So she takes off to figure out where he went or what's going on with him, if he's okay. Because when she starts to dig into where he is, she realizes that he's not where he said he was going to be. So she goes off to find him, kind of worried about what she's going to find. Because he's in Florida and he was supposed to be somewhere else. So she's like, is he having an affair, or was he? Is he dead now? What's going on? So I might pick this up as like a release valve if I'm like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed with all of the intense darkness of Daring to Drive, Sing Unburied Sing, and the 5 Stages of Andrew Brawley. Just for a fun thriller that's set in a fun location with like a juicy plot. The next book that I have selected that I think I probably will not get to is A Map of the World by Jane Hamilton. Now this book, it was the basis of the film A Map of the World, starring Sigourney Weaver and Julianne Moore, and tells the story of a very outspoken woman who is watching her best friend's children. She has children of her own, and she's watching her best friend's children as well one day when her friend's daughter drowns in the pond on her property. And so this, of course, sets off a whole series of events, and there's a trial, and then something weird from her past comes out, and it's like the downfall of this family. So, you know, just light reading, light stuff like that. So that'll be fun. Probably not going to get to it during this readathon because, again, woof, that sounds intense. But it does meet the challenge of having a plant on the cover because, look, trees, and it's definitely dark and hard-hitting. So those are the books I've selected. I'm going to try really hard to read at least 5 of them. And you know, I should be reading something around 1,500, 1,600 pages between all these books. So theoretically, this is doable. We will see what happens when I'm halfway through the week. I'm also going to try and vlog during this readathon because I have vlogged Contemporary-A-Thon in the past, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I might try to actually cook. I haven't cooked in a while, but I used to do a lot of cooking when I was vlogging before. And I don't know if it would be a vlog on my channel without like fast forward chopping of vegetables. So we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to vlog, I think, during Contemporary-A-Thon Round 5, and these are the books I'm going to read. My dog is whining at me because he wants to come into the room, and so that's my cue to say that that's it. So that is going to do it for me in this video. That's my TBR for Contemporary-A-Thon Round 5, which starts on the 23rd, which is Monday. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you all are as well. Let me know what you're reading, if you have any thoughts about the books I've chosen, or if you think I'm cheating, which I'm not. But if you think I'm cheating, let me know, or just don't. But yeah, in any case, oh, I think we're going to make it through without a power outage, which is super exciting. Side note, during the hurricane that did not come, I was 100% prepared for the power outage that did not come. I was not prepared for the one that came today. So that's living in Florida for you. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Feel free to like this video as well if you like it. And until next time, I will be here in the dark, hopefully not literally, reading. Bye, guys. I should turn the camera off.